Hi guys, Teacher Estefana here again from my kitchen. So one of the ideas that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think it's just nice to know, it's a good back of the mind kind of idea that's interactive and fun for your children, is how to make Play-Doh. Again, they're products that you usually have all in your kitchen. Nothing fancy to this Play-Doh recipe. This is a cooked Play-Doh recipe, which is different. I know sometimes people don't. There's usually an uncooked Play-Doh recipe and a cooked Play-Doh recipe. This is kind of the one that I've been using for years and years and years, probably 14 years now, 14, 15 years now. And it's pretty quick and easy. It is a cooked Play-Doh recipe. I like to have a cooked Play-Doh recipe just because I feel like it lasts longer than an uncooked Play-Doh recipe. So this is a little bit different. You just cook it over in a pan, a good non-stick pan, low to medium heat, and it just cooks just fine. Once it's cooked, all you do is kind of knead it down so it'll cool, and then once it's cool, you just keep it in a Ziploc bag and it'll last for a couple of months. This is kind of my standard recipe. Every now and then I'll add something different. Like in the fall, I like to add a jar of pumpkin pie spice, and it's my pumpkin pie Play-Doh. This one is a pretty simple recipe because I can change the measurements and make it for a really big group of children, or I can change the measurements and just have it for one child. So today I'm actually making it for Eleanor, so it is a little bit more of a minimalist recipe. So I already have some ingredients here in my bowl. Just the flour and the salt, because I wanted to measure that out already, and then you just mix the two together. So this is the actual recipe that I'm using. I went ahead and wrote it all out for you guys. So it's 1 cup of flour to half a cup of salt, 1 tablespoon of cooking oil, 1 tablespoon of cream of tartar, 1 cup of flour, food coloring, and then of course cooking it on the stove. Sorry, it took me a little bit. I'm reading it backwards, and yeah, so trying to do my best here. But this is the standard recipe. Again, you can make, if you want to make a whole bunch of Play-Doh, you can, but this is kind of just the standard recipe. This is a small batch. I'm making this just for Eleanor, but you can, typically for the center, I will do about 6 cups of flour and 3 cups of salt, and then just kind of adjust the rest of my measurements from there. But this is just for one child, so I am using it with a very, very simple recipe. So again, as I mentioned, I have my flour and my salt already measured, and it's not any kind of special flour. It's really basic, really easy, simple, just regular everyday flour, regular everyday cooking salt. So cream of tartar. I know some of you might not have cream of tartar in your home, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. It's okay if you don't have cream of tartar in your home. You can still make this recipe without the cream of tartar. What the cream of tartar does is it makes it a little bit more pliable, so it's a little bit more soft and you're able to knead it a little bit better, and it keeps it a little bit more moist, so it doesn't dry out so quickly. So that's the secret as to why we put cream of tartar in our Play-Doh. But again, if you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. You will be just fine. So what I'm doing is I'm actually measuring out a tablespoon of cream of tartar. I'm almost there. So, I mean, not quite a full tablespoon, but just about there. So, I'm just going to add that into my mixture. So that is my cream of tartar. Poured it into my bowl. And usually when I make this, we make it at the center, or if I'm making it here at home, I'd like to have small little ones help me with it. So they help me measure out the 1 cup of flour. They help me measure out the 1 cup of salt and the cream of tartar. I think it's just a fun, interactive way for them to participate in making the Play-Doh, and it helps them get really excited about playing with it as well. So don't think that your children can't help. They will probably spill, of course, a little bit, and that's all right because they're still learning, and this is how they get better at measuring ingredients out, is by actually doing it in the kitchen. So we have our flour, we have our salt, we have our cream of tartar. Next up, I'm going to add, I have a cup of water, kind of already measured out, ready to go here, and it's just plain water. what I like to do, just because I like to add my food coloring. So I'm going to make a purple or a lilac color. So I'm just going to use my red and my blue. And I like to pour the food coloring into the actual water. I feel like it helps. It's nice to have it already kind of measured out and ready to go and all mixed together before I put it into my actual Play-Doh. Just because I feel like it gives it a little bit better of a evenly distribution of the color. So this is kind of what I'm doing. So I'm mixing it up here. It looks awfully dark, and it's actually a really, really pretty purple color. Now, you got to remember, whatever color it looks like in the glass container or in the jar, it's actually going to be a little bit lighter once you add it into the actual flour mixture. So I'm going to pour in my purple water into my bowl here. And then the only thing left that I have left to do is to measure out 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. And I like to put it in after I put the water in. Just again, to make sure everything gets measured in at the same time. So those are all of the ingredients you need to make Play-Doh. I'm going to mix it up, and I'll show you what it looks like in just a little bit. But while I'm mixing, this is just, as I mentioned before, this is a cooked Play-Doh recipe, so it needs to be cooked on the stove. Again, it just helps it last a little bit longer. It isn't like too, I don't even know, like, it's not too thick and it's not too thin. It's like a thick paste-like kind of mixture, and you just mix it all together. This makes about maybe almost a whole cup full. So let me show you what it looks like. It's a nice thick pasty kind of looking thing, mixture. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on my stove and get it kind of nice and warm. My front burner, which is what I'm cooking it on, is actually the powerful one, and so I actually have it on the lowest setting possible because I don't want it to burn. And again, I just cook it in a non-stick pan over a medium heat, and you'll start to notice that when you pour it in, it kind of gets like a different colored texture. So I'm going to get that started and we'll go from there.